Hello, my name is Anta and welcome to my channel. I will be talking about my experience of planning and walking Hadrian's Wall, and hopefully I will be able to help you plan your own trip. I will be talking in 6 points, and in the end I will explain how to put all your knowledge together to create a great custom plan. Point number 1 is health and the distance you want to make each day. So Hadrian's Wall is 135 kilometers long, that is about 84 miles, and on average people take 7 days to walk the distance. That's about 12 miles a day. If you're very healthy and very fit, you may be able to walk 20 miles a day and make the whole journey in 4 days. Or if you have more of a sedentary lifestyle or you go on walks occasionally, you'd be looking at the average. Hadrian's Wall is considered easy to medium difficulty national trail, so it shouldn't bring any big challenges. Point number 2 is you should decide what kind of walk you want to have. Are you giving yourself a challenge, or are you going on more of a culture trip? You could have challenge such as just walking the wall in general without any detours. You may be trying to walk the wall as fast as possible, or maybe you're looking to journey coast to coast, which is something that I did, and in that case you're adding 5 miles to your distance. However, if you're thinking about a culture trip, you would be considering additional hours you're spending in various locations. If you want to see quite a few of those, you might add a day to your traveling times, or maybe you want to see everything and you may add 2 days. We did meet someone who not only visited the objects of interest such as Roman forts, but also went to see all the towns nearby, which is quite a popular option as well. And then some people choose to not make the whole distance, but only do the highlights, which is the very middle part of the walk, where the longest stretch of the actual stone wall is, and it has the most famous location, the Sycamore Gap, and it is in close proximity to forts and objects of interest. Point number 3, think about your finances and how much money you want to spend. This is quite a long trip, so you want to make sure you can afford the food and you can afford the accommodation. Point number 4 is where are you going to stay? This will depend on what kind of trip you're having. You may be backpacking and looking at staying at campsites. There's quite a few on the way. You may be backpacking but looking at camping barns or youth hostels. The most popular type of accommodation you will find is bed and breakfast. The bed and breakfast, of course, comes at a price. Usually it's between £50 to £100 a night. And there are some hotels and some Airbnbs on the way, mainly around urban areas, so you wouldn't be able to make the whole journey using these. Number 5, and that is food. So you just want to know what you're going to eat, or at least what kind of meals you would prefer to have. This will also be influenced by the financial decisions you've made. You may choose to backpack and carry everything with you. We did that. We packed for almost every meal, with some exceptions, but you have to be aware that most places will not have grocery stores available to top up your reserves. So when you are planning this with the idea that maybe you're not carrying everything, but you want to go to a grocery store on the way, make sure you plan that and you know that there will be one available. The most popular thing you will find food-wise is pubs that serve food. If you're staying in a bed and breakfast, obviously your breakfast is taken care of. However, some of these will offer just a food service in general, so you can go and eat there. Another valuable option that bed and breakfasts offer is a lunchbox service. So you can call them up, find out if they offer this. Usually it will be about £5 per person. You pay this amount and they prefer a little box for you to take on the journey, meaning that you don't have to carry your food the whole way through and just for the day. Bed and breakfast will also usually collaborate with companies that offer luggage service. Same thing, £5. Luggage service picks up your stuff from the place you're staying at and takes it to the next location. So all of this can be very convenient. The trail is quite popular with seniors. This is one of the reasons why, because you can arrange for all your meals to be done and all your luggage to be taken care of, so you don't have to carry everything yourself. Number 6, and that is my last point, you should get a map or a guidebook. If you have given yourself one of the challenges mentioned before, you may be good with a map. However, if you're looking at a culture trip, that is where the difficult planning comes in, because you want to make sure you strike that right balance. A good guidebook will include details of where to stay, where to eat, what are the towns and cities nearby, and why it's interesting to visit them. It will also let you know about all the locations of interest and special quirky bits of history, or maybe Roman engravings in the walls, which you otherwise wouldn't know about. The guidebook I used also had estimates of the time it takes to walk certain parts of the trail. For example, Newcastle was, I believe, 3 miles an hour, because it's mainly flat and it's mainly pavement and you just walk fast, while the middle part of the walk was about 2 miles per hour, and that is where there's crags, so you find yourself walking up and down a lot, and that slows you down. So now that you have all your information and you've thought about all these 6 points, it's time to put it all together, and here's what you do. Start by thinking about what is the average distance you want to walk each day, and what is the maximum distance you're ready to walk in a day. For me, it was 12 miles a day as the average, and 15 miles a day as the maximum. The next step is to think about objects of interest you want to visit. If you're not looking to go anywhere extra, work with your data that you now have, or if you are looking at objects, you want to mark those down somehow. So you might use your guidebook and place little ticks or little marks on the maps that are included in your guidebook, or maybe directly on your OS map. Or what I did was I created a separate Google Maps file that has digital markers marking all the locations I want to visit, and I've color-coded them depending on how important they are to me to visit. And some maybes and some musts, and I will add that below so you can have a look, and I will also add a link to the guidebook I used for reference. So returning to the actual planning. If you're still confused about how to choose what to visit or what not to visit, that's where you should look at your guidebook, and it will give you details about the importance of objects, and it will describe them. So it will let you know if it's a fort that you can walk in and look at structures, or maybe it's a fort that's underground, and that will help you plan. Okay, so now you have your map, you know your average daily goals, and at this point you may have already realized that you have quite a few objects of interest and may have chosen to add a day or two. We added an extra day in our plan, kind of from the start. That happened to be very good for us because we happened to encounter not 1, not 2, but 3 horrible storms. It's also valuable to note down daylight hours. We walked in autumn, so we were limited by 12 hours, 7 to 7. However, if you're walking in the summer, you have more freedom. So look at your map, and what you want to do is either mentally, or if you have it on paper, physically, give yourself rough distances for each day. So have an idea which are the parts of the wall you want to do each day. What I would recommend is to do the shorter walks in the middle part, which is the nature reserve, because you will also see that it has the biggest density of object. That is the part where there's a lot of property basically that's been preserved, and there's much more to see, while the beginning and the end of the trip you're looking at doing more of the walking and less of the visiting of museums. So now you had to look at the big picture, and now you start fine-tuning it. So you want to start at one of the ends of your map and make decisions about how long you're going to walk and what you're going to see on the way, and make adjustments according to that. If you want to leave Newcastle on the first day, that is if you're starting in Newcastle, you are probably aiming to walk 15 miles to Head on the Wall. However, if you're adding the extra 5 miles to walk from the coast, you need to either walk 20 miles in a day or potentially consider breaking up that trip. That's what we did. Our first day was only about 10 miles and we stayed at the Airbnb that was the farthest out of Newcastle that we could find. And then the following day we did 15 miles and I believe 2 objects of interest. You use the same method of adjustment as you plan. You just think about, okay, my guide says this is 2 miles an hour, I'm gonna walk 12 miles, that is 6 hours. What time am I getting up and what time are these places open and how much time I want to spend there. Start adding it all up and you will very quickly gain a very custom picture for yourself of realistic estimates. The guidebook I used also recommended adding about 15 to 20% to walking times. All you have to do now is repeat that same principle for every day. Think about what time you're getting up, you're leaving, how long you're going to walk that day, what you're going to see. I found it incredibly useful to write my hourly plan on post-it notes and put those through the map provided in my guidebook. So I would write day 3, walking 5 hours, 5 objects of interest, total time 4 hours of doze. So that means 9 hours of activity. I want to be in the campsite by 6 o'clock, meaning I have to leave on that day by 9. I might choose to add some more walking or I might just stick with that. And depending on where the campsites are or the bed and breakfasts are where you're staying, you may adjust your distance mile by mile, which is why I asked you the question about what is your maximum distance for every day, because you may find that the location you want to stay is 2 or 3 or 1 mile off the track. So you want to be prepared for these things. And all you have to do now is just repeat this, go through your map in this method, you'll have the final list. If there's too many days, you may want to do that again and remove some objects, but that essentially is it. And voila, you have your custom plan. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you have found it useful. Please ask any questions you have in the comment section below and I will answer those. Please let me know if you like this video and subscribe if you want to see more things about hikes and similar type of content. And yeah, thank you and bye.
Is that the hat?
I don't know. Is it that? Is it this? What is it?
I think it's that one.
Here we go.
Welcome, the end of Hadrian's Wall path. Ah! Sam, we did it!